Are you new to grilling, or maybe this is even your first time using a grill? Well, then don't worry, because today I've got you covered. I'm going to show you how to make the basics. So we're going to walk through how to make a classic hamburger and a classic hot dog so you can be prepared for your next cookout. Welcome back to the Bark and Bite. For those who are new, my name is Brandon Baker, and as always, I'm teaming up with Charborough Grills. So if you haven't already, make sure to go hit that subscribe button and take a look at some of the videos that we've put out so far. But today we're going to be putting out a new topic, and this one is geared more so towards those beginners or newbies in the grilling space. And like we mentioned, what I'll be covering is how to grill your basic hot dog and hamburger. This is one of those basic cooks we want to make sure that everybody is comfortable with. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make both of these, as well as the tools you'll need to do so. The first thing I'm going to talk about is what tools you need. And for hot dogs and hamburgers, you really don't need a lot. First and foremost, you need a solid grill. Whether that's a charcoal grill, a gas grill, or a pellet grill, doesn't matter, but that's going to be a must-have. Today, I'll be using Charborough's Pro Series 3-burner gas grill, which I personally love because it's super versatile. On this one, I can cook with gas. There's a charcoal insert that I can use if I want to use charcoal cooking, and there's even a griddle insert that I could use if I decided to go that route. That being said, I'll be cooking with the gas setting today just for the ease of it to walk you guys through this process. As far as tools go, besides your grill, you really just need a few basics. Number one, you're going to need a pair of tongs as well as a spatula for those hamburgers. Besides that, you just need a baking sheet to transport the food, as well as some paper towels to make sure you can keep your hands clean. I like to keep a thermometer on me as well, just to monitor the temperature of those hamburgers, but that's really optional for these classic burgers. Now, as far as the grilling process goes, I'll break this down into two categories, where they're hot dogs or hamburgers. Hot dogs are probably the easiest thing you can cook on the grill, and really that's because of three things. Number one, you can just cook them over medium heat the whole time. They only need to be flipped a few times throughout the cooking process. And the second thing is they don't take long at all to cook. You're talking under 10 minutes pretty much every time you make a hot dog on the grill. The third thing about these that's great is you can pre-cook them ahead of time if you want to, just to reduce that stress level, especially if you're trying to cook for a large crowd for the first time. They hold their flavor really well, and you can load them up with whatever your favorite toppings are, and you'll be good to go come event time. Now, for grilling hamburgers, these take a little bit more work than hot dogs do, but they're still pretty easy to make. There's a lot of pre-made hamburger patties at the stores these days, and honestly, for a beginner, and even myself a lot of the times, that's what I'll grab just for convenience. But for the sake of showing you how to make a hamburger patty from scratch, I'm going to be using fresh ground beef today. And if you are making your burgers from scratch like I am today, I always recommend going with 80-20 beef. And essentially what that means is your beef is going to have about 80% meat and 20% fat in it. It's a good ratio to get a nice crispy exterior and a lot of flavor in those burgers. For a classic burger, I like my patties to be about 4 to 6 ounces each. The easiest way to do that is going to be to take your package of ground beef and then just cut that into portions based on the total poundage that's in that particular package of ground beef. So for instance, if I have a 1-pound package of ground beef, I'll be able to get 4 4-ounce patties out of that package. When you're forming the patties themselves, you want to make them slightly larger than the bun that you're going to be using to put those on, because of the fact that that burger is going to shrink. When you do go with that 80-20 mix, it's going to shrink a little bit more than, say, a 90-10 variety, just because there is more fat in that burger. One thing you can do to help the burger keep its shape a little bit is just put a thumbprint down right in the center of that burger. It just helps it not to constrict so much there in the middle. Now, when you're talking about grilling those burgers, the time it's going to take is going to depend on the size of those patties. But for those 4 to 6 ounce burgers we're talking about, you're looking at about 8 to 10 minutes per cook. What you're going to want to do is flip those about halfway through. And so what I like to do is just take my spatula and keep taking a peek at the underside of those burgers, and once a nice crust starts to form, I'll go ahead and flip them over. Now, if you do have a thermometer on hand, which is what I do recommend, it is optional, but I do like to have it, you can always check the temperature. Once it gets to about 155 degrees, you know that that burger's done. Now, if you're like me and want to add cheese to your burgers, which I'll be doing here today, you want to add that just before the burgers are done cooking. It'll have plenty of time for it to melt, and it'll be perfect when it comes off the grill. Now that I've given you the rundown on how to make those burgers and hot dogs, I'm going to go ahead and prep that ground beef so that we can get both of those foods on the grill. All right, so like I mentioned, I picked up a package of ground beef from a store earlier today, just your standard 80-20 mix. This happened to be about 1.29 pounds. So essentially what that means is it's about 1.25 pounds, or a little bit over that. So keeping in mind what I said earlier, where we're shooting for about 4 to 6 ounce patties, I'm actually going to get 5 4-ounce patties out of this burger, or I could get roughly 4 5 to 6 ounce patties. So I'm going to split those up now and get these ready for the grill. We're just going to be easy and do 4. It's not an exact science. We'll go ahead and start seasoning these up while we're here. I'm just using an all-purpose rub today. Honestly, I go back and forth on what I use on these, but they're always something that's salt, pepper heavy, just because you don't want it to burn on the grill with something that's too sugar heavy. So at a minimum, just use a salt, pepper rub and you're going to be perfectly fine. Just give these guys a good flip. And there is my burger patty. It is that simple. I'll probably throw a little bit more seasoning on here just to even it out a little bit, but that's all you got to do. So I'm going to make 3 more of these and get them ready for the grill. I just set this grill to medium heat, which is going to be perfect for cooking both of these meats here today. Medium heat on this grill does tend to run around 350 to 400, so it's a little bit on the higher end, so we should be good to go. All right, we got all the meats on the grill now. Again, we'll be flipping these hot dogs every minute or so just to make sure that they don't get too crispy on any one side, but they should take about 7 to 9 minutes, while these burgers are going to take about 10 minutes, so all about the same amount of time. As you can see, after just a couple minutes, we're already starting to get some nice sear marks here on these hot dogs. All right, 7 minutes and these hot dogs are good to go. Burgers are looking nice. We'll add the cheese in just a few minutes. So one thing I forgot to mention earlier is Charbroil actually uses what's called their amplifier technology in their grills, which is really cool because essentially what it is it's a silver plate that goes over the burners and helps to, number one, evenly distribute heat, but it also helps to reduce flare-ups. And I can tell you, I've been cooking on this grill for 1.5 years now. Haven't had them flare up one time, which is super cool. But just want to share that fun fact, and we'll continue cooking these burgers. All right, these burgers are just about finished. I'm gonna throw a slice of cheese on these to let that melt, and then we can pull these off the grill. Literally a minute later, and I am temping these burgers. They're registering 155, 156 degrees, which is right where I want them to be. So again, these are good to pull off the grill. I just needed a minute for that cheese to melt. Last but not least, I got all the buns on the grill so we can get a nice sear on these guys just for that added layer of flavor. So I sprayed the cut side of these with a little cooking spray just so they crisp up a little bit, but these guys should all be done. There we go. That's exactly what we're looking for. All right, y'all, it got real hot, so I moved everything downstairs to get away from that heat a little bit. But as you can see, I just built out both a hamburger and a hot dog. And you know, you can build these any way you want to. And my recommendation, especially if you're making a cookout for a crowd with hamburgers and hot dogs, put your condiments all out on a table. Make sure you got plenty. A couple basics here. You want to have ketchup, you want to have mustard. Some onions are great, especially if you're talking about putting those on a hot dog. I like to put relish on a hot dog as well. That one's a little bit more optional, but the main thing here is you want to have options for your guests. They can be as simple or as complicated as they want to be with that hamburger or hot dog. And really that's all there is to it. And as you can see from the cook upstairs, we cooked both the hamburgers and hot dogs all in under 10 minutes. So it's super quick, super easy, and really convenient when you're making it for a crowd. You can typically feed several people with just 1 or 2 packages of hamburgers or hot dogs a piece, so they are great for groups. So that wraps up today's video. I hope after watching you feel much more comfortable with the basics of making hamburgers and hot dogs. Hopefully you feel comfortable enough to put on a cookout of your own. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, let us know what you think in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. And as always, continue to follow along with more recipes and how-to videos that we'll continue to put out on a monthly basis. And until next time, happy grilling.